You know, it's pretty wild to think about, right? Your DNA has 3 billion letters in its code, and a single typo, just one, could be the difference between health and a serious disease. So today, we're going to dive into how AI is giving us these incredible new tools to finally read that code and find the clues hidden inside.
Okay, so that really is the million-dollar question. We've got this massive book of life, our genome, and a tiny little change in one letter could be linked to something like glaucoma or a heart condition. But how in the world do you find that one specific needle in a 3 billion letter haystack? All right, let's get into it. To start this genetic data hunt, we have to begin with the basics. First things first, we need to know what exactly we're even looking for. So, in the world of genetics, that what, the thing we're trying to understand, is called a phenotype. It's really just any trait you can see or measure. You know, it could be super obvious, like your eye color or your height, or it can be way more complex, like your specific risk for a disease. That's our target. And for a long time, the go-to tool for this hunt has been something called a genome-wide association study, or GWAS for short. The best way to think about it is like a huge systematic search. You're scanning the DNA from thousands, sometimes millions of people, and you're checking all these genetic addresses one by one to see if any specific variations show up more often in people who have the disease you're interested in.
Now, GWAS has been a total game changer, but it has a weakness. It tends to like things simple. And, well, biology is anything but simple. It's messy, it's complicated, and it's absolutely full of noise.
See, here's the thing. Our traits aren't just about genes working in a vacuum. You've got factors like age, sex, all these things that have these weird, complex, non-linear effects. They don't follow a nice, clean, straight line. And the traditional models, they can get totally tripped up by all this biological noise. They might just miss the most important clues hiding right in plain sight. So, to deal with this messiness, researchers came up with a really smart AI called DeepNull. It's designed to actually understand these complex real-world relationships. And check this out. On the left, when the data is simple and straightforward, you can see the old method and DeepNull are basically tied. But look at the chart on the right. When you throw in the kind of complexity you find in actual biology, DeepNull just pulls way ahead. It's like it can see the path through a tangled forest while the old methods are still stuck at the entrance. And this isn't just some theory, okay? This is from real-world data. When they unleashed DeepNull on actual patient data from the UK Biobank, the results were just incredible. For predicting the likelihood of glaucoma, DeepNull found 46% more significant genetic locations than the old-school method. I mean, that is a massive leap forward. It means we're getting way, way better at figuring out who's really at risk.
Okay, so we've got a much better tool for finding the clues. Awesome. But that just reveals the next big problem. What happens when the labels we're using, the phenotypes, aren't perfect? What if we need to let the data speak for itself?
I mean, just think about it for a second. Labeling someone as either has the disease or doesn't have the disease is, well, it's pretty crude, right? Biology is almost always a spectrum. Plus, how are you ever going to get a doctor to sit down and create detailed labels for 1 million people? You can't. It's a massive bottleneck. And this is where AI phenotyping just completely changes the game. Instead of those clunky yes or no labels, we can just feed the AI the raw data itself, like here's a detailed scan of an optic nerve or a lung function curve. The model then learns all the important patterns on its own and spits out this super precise, scalable score. So now you get a much richer picture, and you can do it automatically for millions of people. Problem solved. But okay, what if we could take it even one step further? This is where a technique called Reglet comes in, and it uses something called unsupervised learning. This is wild. It means you don't give the AI any labels, not a single one. You just hand it the raw data, say a bunch of lung function tests, and it just figures it out. It finds the important patterns all by itself. It's literally like giving the AI a flashlight and telling it, go explore this dark room and tell us what you find. Okay, so we've taught our AI to look at one type of data with superhuman precision. That's cool. But think about how we understand the world. We combine our senses, right? What if we could teach an AI to do the same? Right? So looking at just one data type, that's called unimodal. It's like trying to understand an orchestra by only listening to the violins. You get part of the story, but you're missing the whole symphony. The new approach, called Multimodal, is about hearing everything at once. And a new method, MREGLE, does exactly that. It listens to all the instruments at the same time to find harmonies, these connections that are completely invisible when you're just focused on one section.
And wow, just look at the result. This is a Manhattan plot, and it basically shows us all the genetic discoveries MREGLE made when it looked at 12 different heart readings, ECG leads, all at once. Every single one of those giant peaks shooting up past that red line, that's a potential new genetic discovery for heart health. By putting all the data together, it's finding stuff that was just impossible to see before.
Let's actually quantify this, because the numbers are pretty staggering. So MREGLE's confirmed 122 known genetic links, which is great, but it also found 20 totally new ones. And get this, it found 30 genetic markers that were completely invisible when scientists looked at each data stream on its own. That's not just a little better, that's a whole new level of discovery. So what's the big deal? Why does this all matter? Well, because this kind of deep genetic insight leads directly to better medicine. This new knowledge was used to build a way more accurate risk score for atrial fibrillation, a common heart condition. And that means we can identify people at high risk way earlier and hopefully intervene before something bad happens. This is how that fundamental science actually ends up saving lives.
So what a journey, right? We've basically watched the scientific toolkit for understanding our DNA level up again and again, with each new idea building on the one before it. I mean, think about it. We went from those early, simple searches with GWAS to getting a whole lot smarter about seeing through the biological noise with DeepNull. Then we took a huge leap and let the AI create its own, much better labels. And finally, we taught it to combine all its senses with MREGLE. Every single step has peeled back another layer of the onion, getting us closer to the real biology underneath.
So what does this all mean for the future? We now have this incredibly powerful toolkit that can combine almost any kind of biological data to see connections that were hidden just a few years ago. So the question isn't really if we can unravel the secrets of complex diseases anymore. The real question is, which ones do we go after next?